Thank you, sir, for this insightful address. We now move on to the panel discussion on catalyzing the digital shift, unveiling opportunities and of AI for finance. I am pleased to introduce the moderator of the session, Dr. Shivani R. Gupta, Chief Data Scientist, Reliance Jio. I would like to introduce the panelist of the discussion, Mr. Satish Kumar Dibashish, CISO Credit B, Mr. Naseem Halder, FinTech Specialist, Mr. Suvin, Head System Engineering India, South Palo Alto. Now I request moderator of the session to take over.
Thank you very much, sir. A lot of information which we got to know. Thanks everyone being here after lunch. I know this session is most crucial and we will try to keep you awake as much as possible. So the topic of discussion is digitization in finance. I think all of us, no matter what, we are using financial institutions or financial companies in one way or other. And I have been working in this industry for a very long time. Around 25 years back, I started my journey in HSBC. And what I have seen from there to now is what we are going to discuss, and I have a very wonderful panelist here. Let's have a quick round of introduction before we start the thing. Satish, would you like to give a quick introduction?
Hi, good afternoon all of you. Myself, Satish Kumar. I'm the CISO currently at a fintech NBFC called Credit B. Prior to that, I was with InMobi and with the Payu Group for 6 years as a CISO. So good to be here.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Naseem Halder. I worked as a CTO for a few new tech insurance companies. I also worked as a CTO and CISO capacity for a couple of fintech and NBFC companies. And as of now, I'm not working. So over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Suvin. I lead the systems engineering pre-sales practice for Palo Alto Networks. I've been in the industry for around 20 years now, and the last decade has been in cybersecurity, and AI is relatively new, and I've been trying to catch up with AI over the last 1.5 years, and I'm glad to actually be here and part of this panel. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. So a quick background about myself. I'm Chief Data Scientist in Reliance Jio. I lead a couple of verticals, and financial institution is one institution which I have worked for many, many years. Currently, I'm leading a lot of greenfield project in agriculture, sports, IPL teams, Olympics teams, and a lot of projects in telecom also. So let's start the bandwagon in terms of what is happening in digitization in finance and how the different type of sectors are taking that as it is. As you have seen that we have a lot of folks from NBFC. Why don't we start with that in terms of how the technology is evolving in that sector, how customer experience is taking priority, utilizing the entire framework of technology, AI, RPA, and everything. Any thoughts, Satish, would you like to throw?
Yeah, sure. So definitely, I think there's a lot of AI. In fact, while currently I'm with this fintech, lending tech, but prior to that I was with InMobi. I'm sure most of you know InMobi, one of the unicorn ad tech, where AI is foundation. Fundamentally, AI cannot operate without the foundation of a lot of data science. So coming back to fintech and NBFC or digital lending or the digital natives, I think a lot of AI gets infused in everything what we built because of the, if you look at the customer choice also, in fact, consumers are spoiled with too many choices, and especially if you look at the whole, I call it as a Uber experience, right? Customers are expecting that everything should happen in that speed, and I think the only way how to give that experience is by, in fact, adopting these kind of platforms. And of course, in my previous experience at Payu, Vinayak was talking about fraud, right? In fact, we had a fraud engine, right? Risk and fraud engine, where fundamentally AI, because without AI, in fact, without a lot of models, we understand the consumer pattern, the way the whole, the user experience and how consumer, right? How is traversing through the whole network. I think there's a lot of use cases, but coming back to your question specifically to customer experience. I think not only we, every digital, in fact, native companies embrace a lot of AI solutions today. Thankfully, there are plenty of solutions today to, in fact, give the whole customer journey experience, right from the whole customer onboarding to the delivery and, of course, getting the whole experience life cycle. So we use a lot of AI-based platform solutions to, right from the customer acquisition, in fact, customer acquisition to delivery to the whole service model. In fact, we have been embracing this AI for a while, and it's a constant effort to see how best the customer gets experience by using these kind of emerging technologies and giving the best value. And because customer today has a lot of choices, it's very important to understand basically the stickiness of customer is very important to. In that context, understanding the customer journey, because thankfully in the mobile platform, there's so much of data comes out. So the data science team constantly sees what kind of the behavior, the pattern, what the customer choices, because it's not one size fits all. You have to, today customers are expecting very personalized solutions. So I think that's possible with this whole underlying data science AI, which becomes much more easy for you to provide that personalized experience for each and every consumer, because every customer is very different. The experience he expects also is very different with a lot of personalized services.
Wonderful, I think, thought what Satish has shared from experience of customer journey to the personalization. Any other thought, Naseem, you want to add?
No, I would say, whatever Satish has said is correctly right. If I put some data point behind it, right, if you see what is the per capita cost of software in India, if I consider in a year, it's less than $100. If you consider in US, the bare minimum per capita cost of software in US is $1,500, which is almost 15 times whatever we are into, right? Now the other side of it, if you see how much data Indian is generating and a US guys is generating, is actually the vice versa, where the data generation, they are almost 10 times behind compared to what data we are generating. So if we consider these two data points, there are two things is coming out. One thing is that we have a solid data points, right? And we are generating more data compared to US. Now, if you see one more thing, the complete geography, right? India is somewhere where you can generate data at very, very easily. And probably that's the game, few of the, I would say, telecom player also playing. They are playing in the scale. They're not playing in the volume, right? So that is what is possible very much in India. And when you have this much of data set, you can do a very well-defined predictive analysis where you can also decide. I think Satish rightly mentioned that personalized product, or I would say more customized product, right? If you see most of that, I would say new age companies, if we consider my last company where I worked as a CTO for Echo, if you see, they don't sell insurance for everybody. They don't have, probably, if I consider two of that two person having similar car, similar model, similar day they bought it. But if both the person are going to buy product from, or probably a car insurance from Echo, you will see it may come up the price or the premium cost is different for both the users. The reason is that they have customization in terms of your uses, in terms of your data points. Let's say somebody who stay probably somewhere in an accidental zone, right? Somebody who probably use a lot of national highways, the prone to happen something wrong. The predictive models are much more accurate over there, so the customization is possible in India, or probably it's much more sharper underwriting is possible in Indian context, whereas possibly if we consider other probably other geographies, they don't have that much of good I would say data points. Even that is one of the reason lot of companies put or probably taken data points from India, or I would say Asian continent. Over to you.
Thank you. I think that's a good perspective that India is at least ahead of US in many things, but this is one of it, which is data creation and certainly the UPI. So I think we will discuss that as well as one of the things, but let me introduce Suvin, and as Suvin, we are talking digitization, and you are a security expert. What are the different security problems which we are seeing it right now, and what the kind of fraud or scams are going on in financial industry or institutions? How do we make sure that it can be protected, or probably what is the utilization of technology in this space?
Yeah, and that's a great question, right? And that's something that most of us will hold very close to heart. How many of us have received scam calls from FedEx these days? Pretty much everyone, right? So which means, and trust me when I tell you this, if you were to look at, we are, with the advent of AI, moving towards an interconnected world. The data points Naseem was talking about, with organizations sort of sharing this information transparently for improved business outcomes, you can rest assured that pretty much, like he was talking about, your highway driving habits can sort of become a pivot for you to get a lower insurance premium. So when you have organizations like this, the chances of this data being misused are extremely high, and so are the chances of this data getting exposed in ways that it may not be in the right sense, right? And this goes back to the fact that AI today, whatever said and done, can be extremely unpredictable in terms of its responses, in terms of the way that it's being used. Take, for example, prompt injection. Take, for example, the way you can force AI tools to give you information that it's not supposed to. And imagine a state where you've got multiple data sets that are collected for an individual across these databases that are contributing. It can be financial information, it can be people, it can be the number of orders that you make on Swiggy or Zomato. All of this information, extremely personal to you, being exposed in a manner that sort of violates your core element of privacy. Ranging from that, using that to launch a fraud or a fraudulent campaign against you. We've heard of situations, and look at it this way, right? One of the most authentic things that you will rely on is a phone call from someone that you know, is a video call from someone that you know. Today's tools are capable of using this information that is available to those tools, replicating someone that you know in terms of their voice or their image, and then convincing you to take action on either a bank account or a transfer or anything like that. So we are moving into a state where the interconnectedness of applications across organizations is creating challenges that we've never seen before, and every organization needs to take those steps to make sure that their data and the data that they are exposing is secured in the right manner possible, with the right policy guardrails, with the right exposure in place, and with the right preventive and detective controls to stop misuse.
A wonderful answer, and that creates another thought in terms of how enterprises make sure that they are following the ethical route and they are following the compliance in order to protect this data. GDPR's Indian version is about to be launched, DPDP, which will initiate a lot of these functionalities to secure the Indian customer data. But what are the other things going on in the industry which you would say that which can make this much more ethical process, not to leak the customer data, what each and every institution or companies are having about a customer? Any thoughts on that, Suvin?
Yeah, I'll take maybe a minute on that. So if you were to look at it, right, one of the problems, and this by virtue of the banking and financial sectors being as regulated as it is, there are compliance frameworks that mandate that you need to store data for, I don't know how many years now, right? So which means 12 years? Yeah, so you need to store that data for 12 years. And that data, in some form or fashion, is going to get exposed to some model in the future. So which means misuse of the data, misuse of the model is extremely possible. So from while the DPDP Act or the GDPR Act is looking at minimizing the exposure and also contextualizing the exposure, we also need to take steps to make sure that every transaction is double-checked with the right context, with the scope of actually planning for the future. In terms of, in case, for example, even going to the extent that says that I do, and I think Vinayak sir was talking about that in the beginning, making sure that the right authentication policies and profiles are in place, making sure that your security logging is complete in all aspects. Today, if you go to most organizations, something that we see is, it's always a race between what data should I collect, what data should I analyze, and how much time should I store that data for, right? And the less data that you have, specifically from a security standpoint, the lesser analytics you'll be able to do, and you need to make sure that you are able to use the data in the right manner. So from that perspective, making sure that the right authentication functions are in place, making sure that you store only the data that you need, and you continuously monitor that data irrespective of where that data resides. If you're running it on public cloud infra, chances are that the data is lying everywhere on cloud. You wouldn't even know it. Because now we have the agile mechanism of software development, where you will have 20 different teams that are working on the same software stack. You don't know where this is getting exposed. Making sure that data visibility is there continuously across all of your assets, and then you make sure that it is authenticated and you have the right data from a security ecosystem standpoint.
Wonderful. I think that's the way nowadays companies are thinking when we talk about data as oil. It is very good, but when oil leaks, it creates a havoc, right? So that's the place where we are in, where if data is leaking, it is creating, or it will create havoc in the future. Any thoughts? I think we will take from Satish in terms of how is his company or his team, or what he has seen in his NBFC area, how ethical governance is followed, and some of the things which you can talk about.
Sure. So basically, since I come from a very highly regulated space, I'm sure we all know, right, how difficult, right, regulatory bodies makes your life, in fact, to have the right kind of governance. We have seen also, right, how RBI takes action, right? We have seen RBI taking action against certain organizations, in fact, for non-compliance of those things. So, in fact, regulated enterprise, we take it very seriously, and not only just about the governance alone. I think overall ensuring that the right kind of guardrails in place. In fact, regulatory bodies, especially RBI, they come out even recently with a very detailed master direction on ensuring that the right kind of controls in place. In fact, and they are followed by audits, a lot of assurance programs. So it all starts from how do you ensure that what kind of risks they're being addressed, and it's always a continuous process. And we, in fact, for us, compliance is the core, because compliance is key. Without compliance, the business cannot, in fact, function at all. And the cost of non-compliance is quite high, especially in the current regulated enterprise. So not only that, even the boards, they take it very seriously to have the right kind of IT governance in place, because security, privacy are definitely the foundation, the pillars of any organization's success. So not only just we, I think most of the fintechs, NBFCs, the whole banking space takes this whole very seriously to ensure that right from the design stage, the product or the data has all the kind of right solutions. And now taking back Suvin example, right, because today startups are born in cloud. Now cloud security definitely becomes very important, and especially having, especially today, most of the startups and digital natives, it's not one cloud, multi-cloud. It's not just one cloud alone. And so that's where I'm sure a company like Palo Alto, right, they help organizations to ensure that all your clouds are secured, because especially a lot of exposures in the cloud context, because while the business itself runs on cloud, the whole code to cloud, and especially with the new age enterprise, everything is code, and constantly so there's a lot of innovation keeps happening. So constantly there's a lot of product getting enhanced, built daily. There's so much of code being written by the developers. So it's always a struggle to ensure that we shift a lot of things at the very early stage. So shifting left to the security and putting a lot of controls, defense in depth, and ensuring that right from the design, development, testing to the production, everything is securely implemented. On top of that, today with the privacy regulations coming in, because it's all about, privacy is all about protecting the consumer rights, like data subject rights. So ensuring that we only collect the required amount of data and put all the guardrails to ensure that the data protection, all the technologies are in place to ensure that we stay compliant with privacy as well as security, because both are two sides of the coin. They both complement each other.
Thank you, Satish. That's, I think, good to know that most of the companies are pretty much aware about these guardrails, and they are following it to the T because of, one, heavy compliance, and second, also more of a self-awareness and you can say, taking care of the customer data. One more thing, when we talk about AI into risk management, AI into the modeling piece of each and every stage of customer assessment and all, Naseem, what do you think that where this is going, and how AI is helping the entire value chain of financial institutions to go to the next level?
Well, I would say, most of the cases for financial, institution, AI is already inevitable. There are a lot of cases, AI actually adding a lot of value addition in terms of efficiency of our own work. I'm sure all of you have already used probably multiple Gen AI application at a personal level, and we have seen how good quality we are getting, how quickly we are getting all this information, right? I think Vinayak sir, talked about UPI and one more platform, sorry, I forget about it, UHI, right? So UHI probably still not, get that popularity, because unified health interface, that is also one thing going to come for most of the health insurance side. And I believe last week only RBI has also launched one more platform, or one more idealistic platform. It's called unified lending interface, right? So it's probably going to help, yes, ULI. So it's going to help lot of things in terms of credit score, your credit risk management, your market risk management. Any product we are going to have, what is our credit score, what is our credit risk appetite, what is our even at the same time the credit risk appetite of the institute itself. There are certain model called PPNR. All these things are going to be super easy to run. And at the same time, probably Suvin has already talked about, when we are feeding a lot of information to those AI or LLM models, it's also exposing some kind of security threat. But at a personal level, I believe so. It's completely my personal opinion, I would say. If you see the companies getting hacked or their data are getting compromised, probably is much lesser compared to the data we are unknowingly sharing, or I would say misusing, or just wasting our own data. Probably we Indian, I would say, to be very honest, we are not very sensitive about our own data. If we probably do a quick survey here in this room, I think we have around 50 people. I just need a quick hand, how many of we are having antivirus in our mobile phone? Hardly I can see 5% people, right? And how many we are having sensitive data like our Aadhaar, PAN, all this data in our mobile phone, or some cases probably photos of our credit card as well, right? I'm sure we have all this critical information in our phone. So we are not sensitive about our own data. How is it really good, to probably, pointing out a finger to any organization? They already have a compliance. I think Satish already talked about RBI compliance, which is pretty stringent. I'm sure I'm one of that person who faced RBI audit at least, 4 or 5 times in my career, and I know how good they are. Believe me, I can tell you, I also got an opportunity to work with Fed, the Central Bank of US. I would say our regulator are much more stringent. Probably it has some downside, but in terms of all these things, they always try to have a good benchmark for us. But we probably not as sensitive enough to share or handle our data. What do you?
So just one point I'd like to add. This is more on a lighter note, and Indian specifically, right? We shout privacy from the rooftops, but when it comes to our Instagram feeds, someone who follows us will know exactly when our birthday is, what your mother's maiden name is, when your anniversary is, when you've gone for vacation, what your dog's name is. So the point is, inadvertent data exposure happens at our level, and in cybersecurity, from a practitioner standpoint, cybersecurity is as strong as the weakest link. And in most cases, it's us. as individuals.
Wonderful. I think this is the, we have to think through about how much data and PII information we are sharing in the social network and how that can be very, very dangerous for ourselves. In a quick way, Suvik, do you want to talk about anything what cybersecurity is using AI for in this space? Any thoughts on that part?
So cybersecurity, and I think we've sort of, by virtue of this being such an interconnected ecosystem, I think we should stop calling it cybersecurity. We should maybe call it security of interconnected applications or devices or services or businesses, right? Right from fraud detection, and today if you look at it, right, I travel, and in case I know for a fact that the banking industry has a mechanism that baselines my data, and then has a correlation rule or something that is written in the backend to identify if I've traveled to a different geography and throw an alert so that it gets me a call. That's just the foundational element of fraud detection, right? Right from fraud detection to inadvertent exposure to once you start using AI models, make sure that you're protected. And you have the OWASP top 10 for AI and AI applications today. That level of security to securing the models, all of that is something that you can start looking at cybersecurity practitioners and providers to help you secure.
So AI is everywhere, no matter you like it or not like it. It's part of each and every function, each and every vertical, and wherever one can think about. So I think when we think about customer experience in the financial institution, and Satish did talk about it, and Satish, I think you were mentioning in one of the talks that you have automated the entire customer and journey.
The whole journey.
You want to probably give a quick thought on that because I would like to add some more things also in that. How, if you talk about banking customer even in India, I think Singapore is one of the region where the customer journey has been automated to the extent we are also thinking SBI is doing the you can say video KYC here, but still a lot of documentation and a lot of processes are also involved where it takes probably days to weeks at all in the process. Australia is going in a very, very sharp way in that direction where I was working in my previous organization. We were able to automate that entire lending process to 2 minutes. So you don't have to fill any form, you just put all the documents into the system. AI functions identify all the information, extract all the information. It used to run through 22 risk models to identify if you are a fraudulent or check all the fraud lists. It will pull the data from bureau, it will score you, identify the right loan amount for you, right loan interest rate for you, and ultimately within that 2-minute time, it will go to 1 or 2 human eyes just to finally cross-check it, and most likely it used to even transfer the first loan amount in the account. So that process was one thing which we are seeing in many banks who are doing that. Somewhere compliance are very crucial, somewhere compliance are okay to go with it. Sometimes you have to go for one human intervention or multiple human intervention, and 40 to 50% of the applications can go route through this 2-minute journey. Not only 2-minute noodle we talk about, but also 2-minute lending journey. And Satish, you have done something similar in the past. You want to talk about how is the journey in India and especially in this NBFC, which is much more critical sector to talk about?
No, definitely, as you said rightly, in fact, the overall automation journey helps in the overall life cycle. But let's don't forget, we keep talking India and we forget Bharat, because there's a lot of Bharat, when I say other cities, where people may not have digital footprint. So wherever there's a digital footprint, probably all data science can do a lot of magic. But there are places where probably, let's don't ignore that, that's a much bigger piece than people having digital footprint.
So just to add to that point, the one digital device which is available to 88% of Indian household is phone, right? And because of, thanks to Jio, I can take credit for that. Because of Jio's probably very cheap data policies, majority of these folks have a 4G and a mobile internet, which can connect to the 3rd tier, 4th tier population, at least in India. with a digital mode, right? So that actually a good enabler in terms of when we talk about digitization piece.
Agree. But that all started recently, right? It's not that...
Okay. I would say, with all due respect to Satish and Shivani, I have a different aspect. Believe me, no corporate is, I'm definitely want to say thanks to them. They are, bringing out new idea, they were doing new things. But it's all about business. Okay, here is 3 business strategy I would say in India you have to consider before starting any of product. First thing, which product? Who is the customer for this product? Is it tier 1 product? Tier 1 India? Then Satish's word is 100% correct. If you tier 2, probably the population size will be much bigger, the data will be much bigger, but there will be some issue in terms of the digitalization of the site. If we talk about probably tier 3 India, the population is huge. They have a different kind of challenge. If you offer them a lot of digitalization, probably they are not able to use it. So if you probably see a product like Zomato, Swiggy, they are super good only tier 1. Tier 2, their adoption rate is much less. Similar way, if we consider all these digitalized companies, for tier 1, some level of tier 2 is super good. Definitely, I would like to say thanks to Jio as well to introduce that. Is it possible to reduce the cost of data in India? And I believe that's all about core engineering, right? Probably if I say now only that, if I give $100 to everybody, can all of you reach to our airport, Bangalore airport? Probably everybody will be able to say yes, right? There will be, if I say that, probably if I give 100 rupees, how many of you are able to go to airport? Probably very few guys, right? That is all about engineering. You have to reduce the cost. You have to make sure how much, adoption of these things. Like if you talk about probably UPI, the adoption rate is so high only because of the experience you are having, the ease of use those apps, especially if you see most of the third-party apps are much more easier to use. The reason is that it's much more easier to do the payments, right? If you see probably Google Pay or probably Phone Pay, they have only 2 or 3 features over there. It's much more easier. Over to you.
I think a good thought that you have to understand the kind of product you can, what kind of segment you're looking for, or even with respect to city tier perspective, what kind of things you can take it to different type of people, and how would be the adoption. So I also manage the agriculture sector, and I know that digitization is not there in that sector, but because of the mobile phone, we are able to reach lots and lots of farmers to get the work done and give them the recommendation. And it's not been a hurdle because they have at least one source of a medium to interact with everyone in the space. So let's keep, I think, one question which all of us are facing. Just ask you a question that I am assuming that all of the people who are sitting here are tax-paying population. Right? Okay.
No one wants to
I'm
put
nodding. I'm seeing the nods, but no one is clearly saying. So I'm assuming that this is a tax-paying population. And in India, which is one of the countries where the tax-paying population is very small. Right? I think it's between 2.75 to 3.5. It is of the tax-payable populations, percentage is only the people who are paying the tax. So this is probably the forum, or this is the population who is paying the tax for the rest of the 97% people. I just want to ask probably perspective from all the panelists that because now each and every transaction, thanks to the UPI, is getting recorded, right? Or at least what we are seeing, around 90% of the small transactions are happening through UPI, even by your wire transfer or any other thing. So government has record of financial transactions. How can government utilize this transaction data to probably increase that 3% tax-paying population what it was, and can this be somewhere useful to it? And I would love to hear someone's audience perspective also, if you have a perspective, and we can probably send it to Mr. Modi or Ms. Sitaramaiah to probably take some actions on that.
So I'll just take a stab at that with the permission of the rest of my panelists. But I also want to address one question that sort of lingered around, right? In terms of access, I don't think we are, as a country, we are at a state where we don't have access. With 4G, 5G, I think access is pervasive. The problem with in the finance and the finance sector and the banking industry, and the moment it comes to money, I think what a large percentage of the Indian population lacks is trust. And that trust comes from, and that trust can stem from AI. And that's the reason why I think a lot of discussions and deliberations are happening in terms of how to effectively use AI to increase the levels of trust within within people who are currently choosing to transact offline. Because even today, while if you travel to, let's say, a tier 2 city in Bharat, like what Satish was saying, chances are that they would prefer a form of hard cash over a digital transaction. While the Indian government has a view in terms of what transactions are conducted digitally, there is a large percentage of transactions that are still happening in hard cash. That element of trust is something that, as a community of practitioners within the BFSI industry, within the cybersecurity practitioners like us, we should be able to build. And the reason for that is, if you were to look at any leading news, maybe in a week or two, chances are that one of the highlights will be that this specific bank manager was cheated out of so many lakhs of rupees. Or this person who was advocating that you need to be cyber secure online was frauded, and he ended up paying for a DHL scam. So all of this gets that fear element into people that restricts them from sort of trusting the digital space for money as such. This is point one. In terms of tax, I know it's a raw nerve, especially that's only 3.5% of the population paying tax and all that. But if you were to ask me once again, right, that increased trust in the system to do its part and making sure that you put the right message across. This is something that you can trust. The banking system in India, the banking and the digital frontiers that we are putting towards banking is something that we can trust, and you will be suitably rewarded. That can go a long way in increasing that 3.5 up to 5 to 10. Because trust me when I tell you this, and I'm sure most of you will agree, we all want the number of taxpayers to go up so that maybe our loads will go a bit down. Yeah.
Very good perspective. Let's hear from others also.
No, absolutely.
Satish?
Anyway, let's don't talk. I don't want to touch the tax topic, but as Suvin said rightly, in fact, more financial inclusion will happen. I think more and more we create that digital trust among consumers. I think that's very important, and that's the whole conference what we're talking about, data security, and the more digital trust, more adoption of technology, will have more financial inclusion.
Hello. As both of them already talked about security side, and first of all, I would say, I would say thanks to Shivani for, bringing this tax topic. This is really interesting. No, I would say the data is really interesting. I would say, fortunately enough, I was having a call last week only with a GST, somebody from GST Council, and somebody from income tax as well. So there are certain things going on. So first of all, probably little bit correction. Shivani is talking about the direct tax. Okay, 100% Indian are paying tax in terms of indirect tax. All of we are paying tax. Okay, whoever, probably there are few percent people are not paying probably the direct tax or individual taxes. There are things, right? If you see the GST collection, every quarter is almost increasing. It's never seen a downside. The reason is that they already have a very good infrastructure. They already have a superb, data analytics team. They are doing analytics. They are, also identifying where exactly the tax collection is less, where they can improvise. They are doing these things. And similar way, if you see the individual tax or direct tax is also increasing. So it's a suggestion to all of you, including me, if we are or if I am not paying tax properly, pay it properly, or it may have a different repercussion.
Very good, valid point. And I have seen this in the past, that income tax team, if you have ever filed income tax return, trust me, you will not get a single money out of them. They will open up your past entire history for 10, 15, 20 years. They will identify a gap that, okay, you have not done a correction here, and it is a penalty for that, and they will never give you back any money. So I have had that once or twice, that they have pulled up some history and they have ultimately justified that it is a delayed penalty and some leakage in my historical payment, and they have not paid me. So I asked them why you have not been doing this on a proactive basis. So they have given a lot of different gyan on that, but yet to hear the right answer for that. So thank you very much. I think it's been very interesting thoughts. Any questions from audience? We would love to take one or two.
Hello. Yeah, we are talking about, the individuals are sharing the data. Okay, today we have Aadhaar, we have PAN, we have CIBIL. Now, by just giving one information, let's assume I give an Aadhaar number. That's it. There is no leakage of any data from the customer side. Today, what is happening is bank will ask n number of documents, share it to me, and that data sharing is happening from the consumer side also. So if we can unify this all three things together and give only one information, so then it would be very easy for anyway the banks can link Aadhaar to PAN, then PAN to CIBIL, they can get it done. But why this kind of documentation? In our process, the KYC documentation is very huge. So even if you want to open a bank account or a loan, anything like that. So I think somewhere I feel like this has to be unified, and which will actually help us, at least a control can be placed from the fintech industry.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Anyone wants to take, or I can answer?
I would say I'm aligned to, sir, whatever you have said is 100% I'm aligned with your idea. And I can assure you, there was one of the discussion, I was part of it, and it is already proposed. The problem with India is that the classification of individuals, right? Every PAN, every Aadhaar card has a classification and their requirement is different. So earlier, our complete infrastructure is like that, PAN number is only for your financial information. Aadhaar card is all your identity. So, doing all these things at a unifying platform, it will come. But probably it will take some time, especially for a country like India, where the scale is very, very high. It's not that easy to do it something very quickly and come out overnight. Probably not possible, but it will definitely one of the point of discussion, and I hope it will come soon.
But having said that, I think a lot of banks are also doing a lot of innovation. I think it's much better now today. Opening an account is not that tedious in the past. Today, I think through video KYC and I think without even visiting branch.
There are digital account opening. All
without
these things are possible.
She never visited branch, but her account is opened in fact. So I think a lot of innovation is taking place. But as Naseem said, large country, a lot of disparate systems. I think it will take some time to unify and consolidate it.
Thank you for wonderful answers. Any other questions? We would love to take one more last question. All right. So thank you. Thanks everyone for wonderful. I think a lot of good things we have learned from this discussion. So thank you very much.
We would like to present a token of appreciation for our esteemed panelists. The next session for the day is Future Modeling of Authentication and Authorization, Innovation, Experimentation, Technologies and Standards. The moderator of the session is Mr. Vaiti Subramanian, Head Enterprise Risk Management, NIUM. The panelist for the discussion is Mr. Anand V. Partner, Deloitte, Mr. Kamaya Nadabal, CISO Upstocks, Mr. Manikant Singh, CISO DMI Finance. I welcome you all to the panel discussion.